An absolute nuke just hit the NBA when Shams Corona decided to tweet out this statement at like 11 p.m. on a random Sunday night. This tweet just hit the NBA like the plane hit the second tower, okay? Like, this was earth-shattering news, probably the biggest trade in NBA history. Obviously, what I'm talking about is the Luka Doncic getting traded to the Dallas Mavericks for Anthony Davis trade. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down every part of the trade, every side of the trade, who I think won, who I think lost, why I think it was good and bad on both sides, all of that. So that does sound interesting to you, please watch the video all the way through. Hit the like button and subscribe in the episode. We're going to meet without further ado, without running on too much, let's get right into this video. So first things first, what we're going to do is just going to be breaking down the package itself, starting with the Los Angeles Lakers. And the Lakers got Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris, while the Dallas Mavericks got Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 Los Angeles first-round pick. And then the Utah Jazz finally got Jalen Hood-Schifino, a 2025 second round from the Clippers, and a 2025 second from the Mavs as well. And just by hearing those two huge names, Anthony Davis and Luka, it's very easy to understand why this completely shocked and shook the NBA to its core. And I think both sides did do things that are very interesting, and I'm not as high on it for some teams as others. And to start off, we're going to be going on the Los Angeles Lakers side of things. The first thing being the most obvious, the fact that they pair LeBron James with a top 5 talent in the entire NBA in Luka Doncic. I'm not sure there's a more talented duo in the NBA right now. I don't know how you could argue it. LeBron literally has a debate to be the best player of all time, highest IQ in the NBA, unbelievable player still at 40 years old. And then, like I said, Luka Doncic, when he's healthy, is literally debatably the best player in the league at times and is always a top 5 player, and he is only 25 years old. And this trade does a few things. One, it makes them instant contenders right now, because I doubt the Lakers are done like trying to make trades. Like, I'm sure they're going to go for a Jonas Valanciunas, a Nick Claxton, someone like that, maybe even CJ McCollum off their bench. Like, there's a lot of different ways they could go at this point to make a trade and to make this roster even stronger than it currently is. But on top of that, even with just how it is right now, their current roster, I would say, are legit finals contenders just because you have Luka and LeBron on it. Luka was in the finals last year with a pretty good roster. He had Kyrie Irving and PJ Washington as his running mates, and he made the finals with that. Now you give Luka Doncic to LeBron James, and I would say that is a very, very good duo that can 100% get you to the finals if all things go correctly, especially if you go and trade for a big man that's very good, like Jonas Valanciunas or Nick Claxton, who they've been heavily rumored to be going after lately. Another thing is the fact that, I think they set themselves up for the future now, amazingly, because even when LeBron retires, LeBron is not going to play till he's 50, so eventually he's going to retire. But for basically the next decade, you're going to have one of the best players in the league in Luka, who makes you already, on top of being the Lakers, an instant, even more attractive free agency destination, a trade destination, and players are going to want to play with Luka and play for the Lakers, so it's going to even multiply that factor even more, and just, they're going to be a relevant team just for having Luka for basically the next decade, even more probably going forward. So that's how important this trade is, because Luka Doncic is only 25 years old, and it really just, no one of his caliber at his age gets traded in the NBA. This is really one of the first times we've ever seen something like this, and that's why it's just so impactful and so shocking for anyone to see. And then, like I said, I think it helps them now, makes them into contenders, and they're probably going to be contenders for a very long time just for having him. So this was just an unbelievable home run trade. I don't think they got rid of a lot. Like, I think for what they gave up, they got very good value in getting a best player in the NBA caliber player, and I just think overall this trade was an absolute A+ home run for the Lakers, and they are 100% the winner of this trade. It is now time to move on to the Dallas Mavericks' side of things, and I would say it's definitely not as happy or as much of a home run as the Lakers. In fact, I would maybe call it a strikeout because it is not great at all. They do still have a very solid roster. Now, look, albeit a much older one and probably less star-talented one, but still very good. I think Kyrie and Anthony Davis are going to fit together very well. I think their roster is still fine. Klay Thompson's fine. Like, they have a fine roster. They're going to be a playoff team. They're going to be a hard out in the playoffs because Anthony Davis is still a superstar level player. Kyrie is still a superstar level player. Like, these are still two very good players. The problem is, neither one of them are even close to what Luka Doncic is, so they lost their ceiling, basically. Luka was the one who raised their ceiling to have a potential to make the finals. Now they don't really have that. Anthony Davis has been the guy on a team before, And I mean, the Pelicans were playoff teams every once in a while, solid teams, but they were never great. And Kyrie Irving has been the best player on teams, and they've been solid teams, but never great. And although, like I said, I think them combined is good enough to easily be a playoff team, and they're going to be a hard out, I cannot see them getting past the second round. I mean, conference finals at best. Like, there's almost no shot this team makes the finals, in my opinion. On top of the fact that, I mean, Anthony Davis is injured a lot. So, like, the whole conditioning reason of getting rid of Luka makes zero sense because Anthony Davis, his nickname is literally Day to Davis. Like, it's that for a reason. So that doesn't make any sense at all. And then the biggest problem is their future looks much worse. Kyrie Irving's, I think, 31. Anthony Davis is also 31. Like, their age is much. Klay Thompson is also old as shit. Like, their best young players are PJ Washington, Derek Lively, and Daniel Gafford. Daniel Gafford's not even young. So really Lively and PJ Washington, and neither one of them have star potential, in my opinion. So, like, you could have just, its trades future-wise doesn't help you at all. So that makes even less sense why Nico Harrison was like, oh, I think the long-term we got better. I don't think so at all. I think you got much worse long-term perspective, which, I mean, is not a hot take. When you trade your 25-year-old MVP candidate, yeah, your future is going to look a lot worse than what it did before you traded him. So I don't know what he is yapping on about right there. And then another thing, they could have just got so much more. If they would have been openly just shopping Luka Doncic, like how reports are that they're so desperate that they were trying to trade Luka, like if they would have just shopped him around to every team, they could have got unbelievable hauls. Like, people would have given a hand and fist for Luka Doncic, and instead you kept it quiet, only talked to the two teams, one of which you were trying to ask for Wembanyama, so obviously they said no, and then you went talk to the Lakers and kept it hush-hush until the trade was done, and then, like, no one even had a chance to counter-offer with a bigger offer. Like, you just pretty much handicapped yourself for a 31-year-old Anthony Davis, basically. So you got worse from a talent perspective. You got worse now. Your future got much worse. And you probably have no chance of making the finals anymore. I'm just not sure why the Dallas Mavericks did this. Like, there's really no reason to why they would have done this. The only explanation is that Luka Doncic was balls deep in Mark Cuban's wife or something. Like, that's the only explanation, because this makes absolutely no sense. And I think you can tell from how I've talked about it that I think this was a very big loss for the Dallas Mavericks in this trade. And now, lastly, we're going to be moving to the Utah Jazz. That is right, Jazz fans. I'm not going to leave you out of this video like everybody else would. I'm going to be breaking down what you did as well. And the Utah Jazz, I mean, it's not going to take long. They didn't do much, but they did get a young guard, Jalen Hood-Schifino, who, for what it's worth, I was high on coming into the draft class, and he never really had a chance with the Lakers. The Lakers don't really play rookies, right? So, like, Dalton Knecht is one of the only rookies to play in a very long time for the Lakers, like, right away, and even he doesn't get that many minutes, and he's a pretty damn good rookie who was picked with a high pick. So a guy like Jalen Hood-Schifino, who although was picked, like, I think late lottery or something like that, he was never going to play right away, and then he kept getting injured as well in the G League, so he really just had a weird stint with the Lakers. Now, I do think Jalen Hood-Schifino, even if it is on the Utah Jazz's G League team, he's going to get significant playing time when he's healthy again, and maybe even in the NBA, and I think offensively for sure, he has a very high ceiling and something that very untapped as well, and he's just kind of an unknown prospect at this point because we really haven't seen him play much in the G or in the NBA due to injuries, so I hope very much so that we do get to see some real minutes out of him, and I think he could legit become a player for y'all. Now, I know the Utah Jazz have a absolutely stacked guard room right now, and Collier, Sexton, Clarkson, Keontae George, like, all that. Like, I know they're very deep and stacked. Bryce Sensabaugh even. Like, they're very deep there, so it's very unlikely that he cracks the rotation or anything like that, but at least will be a young guy that is going to be interesting to track and follow as he actually gets an opportunity for really the first time in his NBA career. And then probably most importantly, they were able to get 2 second-round picks next year in the 2025 draft, and for a rebuilding team, any pick you can get is a big pick, and I think, like, second-round picks can be very valuable, especially in today's NBA. Like, they just got a guy, Kyle Filikowski, who I think is very solid and is going to be a very solid player for them for years to come. Now, yes, his rookie year hasn't been great, but it hasn't been terrible either, so I do think he can definitely build off of some of the stuff he's doing, and I think second-round picks can be very valuable, so getting 2 of them is always going to be important for a rebuilding team, and I think that's pretty good. So I think overall, Utah gets a mini W, okay? They get a little, not as big of a W as the Lakers, obviously, but they did do better than the Dallas Mavericks did, in my opinion. So Utah actually gets a baby W for this trade. But unfortunately, guys, that's going to be my first video. So comment below, do you agree with me? Do you think that the Lakers won this trade? Do you think the Dallas Mavericks did better than I'm putting on? Do you think Utah did good? I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. If you'd like to hit the like button and subscribe button, it means an absolute word to me. And I hope you have a blessed day, because I had a blessed day, so you need to have a blessed day. All glory to God. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah.